Level 1. Negative $4,000. You're 23 years old. You have a job, you have a car, you have nothing. Your net worth is negative $4,200. One credit card. One phone you're still paying off. $61 in checking. It's the 22nd of the month. You know exactly how many days until Friday. You always do. You work a warehouse floor, $15.50 an hour, 40 hours if you're lucky, 32 if you're not. Rent is $850. Car insurance is $140. After everything, about $200 a month is actually yours. You do the math in the grocery aisle. Not because you're careful, because you have to be. Marcus works the same shift as you. He's the only person you talk to honestly about money. Everyone else pretends they're fine. You pretend too. It's easier. Then your transmission goes on a Tuesday. $900. You don't have $900. It goes on the card. The card is now maxed. Your net worth drops to negative $5,100. This is the part nobody explains about being broke. It costs more. Every problem costs you more than it costs someone with savings. Marcus asks if you need anything. You say no. You mean it. You just don't want him doing the math on you. You eat rice and eggs for 11 days. Then you start writing every dollar down in a notebook. Not a budget, a record. You want to see it. It takes you 2 weeks to look at the total. When you finally do, nothing changes. But something does. You're still negative $5,000. But for the first time in your life, you know the number. Level 2. $1,000. It takes 14 months to get here. 14 months from negative 5,000 to positive 1. Nobody tells you that negative to 0 is harder than 0 to 10,000. You paid the card down $40 at a time, sometimes $60. Once in March, $200. You took Saturday shifts for 9 of those months. $1,040 sits in a savings account now. It's the most money you've ever had at one time. You check it 3 or 4 times a day. Not because it changes, because it exists. Marcus says $1,000 isn't real money. He's wrong, and in July you get to prove it. Your tire blows out on the highway, $180. You pay cash. You don't touch the card. You don't tell anyone. That is what $1,000 actually buys. The difference between an inconvenience and a crisis. You rebuild it to 1,000 in 7 weeks. That part feels different. You've done it once now. You start reading about index funds at 2 in the morning. You don't understand most of it. You read the same article 4 times. Then you find the number that changes everything. 7%. Average annual return historically. On $1,000, that's $70 a year. $70 is nothing. You almost close the laptop. Then you run it for 30 years instead of 1. $7,600. From 1,000, you sit on the floor of that apartment for a long time. Nothing has changed. You still have $1,000. You open the account the next morning before your shift. You put in $50. It feels almost embarrassing. But you just found out money can work when you can't. Level 3, $10,000. You're 26 now, $10,200 split across 2 accounts, $6,000 in cash, $4,200 invested. You got a better job, $18 an hour plus overtime. You still live in the same apartment. That single decision matters more than anything else in this video. Your income went up 30%, your spending didn't. The gap between those 2 lines is the entire game. Marcus got the same raise. He moved somewhere nicer. His rent went from $850 to $1,400. He isn't wrong for that. He's just not going to be in level 5. Things start happening that never happened before. A credit card company offers you a real limit. You don't take it. 2 years ago, you would have. Your bank messages you about a savings tier you now qualify for. It's the first time an institution has looked at you on purpose. Your dad calls in October. He needs $2,000 for a medical bill. You have it. That has never been true before. You send it that night. You don't mention it took 11 months to save. Your net worth drops to $8,200. You don't resent it. You resent that it mattered this much. Almost nobody talks about that feeling at this level. You rebuild it in 5 months. Faster than last time. Every rebuild is faster than the one before it. That's the real mechanic of getting out. Not income, recovery speed. By December, you cross 10,000 again. You don't celebrate. You barely notice. $10,000 used to be an impossible number. Now it's just Tuesday. You set the transfer to automatic and stop looking at it. That is the last real decision you make for 4 years. That's how you know you left the first level. Not the money. The shrug. Level 4, $100,000. You're 31, it took 5 more years. $103,000, $22,000 in cash, $81,000 invested. You changed careers at 28. Logistics coordinator. $71,000 a year. You moved once to a 1-bedroom, not a better studio, $1,200 a month. You could afford $2,000. This is where the math starts working without you. Your portfolio made $6,000 last year, 4 months of your old warehouse salary. You did nothing for it. You feel something you weren't expecting at this number. Not relief, not pride, suspicion. You keep waiting for something to take it back. In March, the market drops 19%. You lose $15,000 in 3 weeks. On paper, it doesn't feel like paper. $15,000 is more than you had in total 4 years ago. You don't sell. You don't add either. You just sit with it. It recovers in 8 months, then keeps going. That's the whole lesson of level 4. You learn to do nothing. Marcus calls in the summer. He asks how much you've saved. You tell him the truth. He's quiet for 4 or 5 seconds. Then he says, "On the same money?" And you say yes, on the same money. That conversation changes something between you. Not badly, just permanently. You're the first person he's ever met who actually did it. By December, you're at 118,000. 100,000 is not a destination. It's the point where the money starts moving faster than you do. A coworker buys a new truck in April. Everyone goes to look at it. You look at it too. You mean it when you say it's nice. And you still haven't told a single person at work what you have. Level 5, $1 million. You're 41. It took 10 more years. $1,040,000. Almost none of it came from your salary. You earned about $900,000 in those 10 years. You saved roughly $300,000 of it. The other $700,000 grew on its own while you slept. That is what compounding actually looks like from the inside. It looks like nothing for 15 years. Then it looks like this. Your bank assigns you a person. Her name is Diane. You've been a customer for 19 years. Nobody ever called you before. She offers you a private client tier, no fees, direct line. You ask her what changed. She tells you the truth. Nothing about you changed. Only the number did. You wear the same hoodie to that meeting. She doesn't mention it. That's part of what you're paying for. Your life does not visibly change at $1 million. Same apartment, same car, same grocery store. What changes is that you stop checking prices. You notice it 3 months after it started. That's the first real luxury. Not looking. Your portfolio makes about $70,000 that year. That's more than your salary was at 31. You keep working anyway. You like the structure. Nobody at that office has any idea, not one person. Marcus is $52,000 in debt, 2 cars, a bigger apartment, and 11 years of small decisions. He earned almost exactly what you earned. Almost to the dollar. That is the most uncomfortable fact in this entire video. $1 million is the last level where you're still normal. After this, people start treating you differently. Diane asks what your goal number is. You don't have one. She writes something down anyway. You never find out what. And you will not get to choose whether they do. Level 6. $10 million. This is the level almost nobody reaches by saving. A salary and an index fund will not get you here. Not in one lifetime. You get here because you owned something. At 43, you put $400,000 into a logistics company, not a startup. A boring one that already worked. You knew the industry. You'd worked in it for 18 years. That is the only reason it worked. You were not smart. You were specific. 6 years later, it sells for $19 million. Your share, after taxes and partners, is 9.1. It arrives as a single line in an account. You look at it for maybe 40 seconds. Then you close the laptop. You do not feel what you expected to feel. You feel tired and slightly nauseous. Nobody warned you that the number arriving is an anticlimax. Diane calls within 6 hours. You did not tell her. She already knew. That is your first real lesson about this level. Money this size is visible to institutions before it's visible to you. Within a month, you have a tax attorney and an estate lawyer. You did not want either. You need both. $9 million is not money anymore. It's an administrative object. Your cousin calls in November. You haven't spoken in 4 years. He asks about a business idea. He needs $60,000. You say you'll think about it. You already know the answer. 3 more calls come that month. 2 are family. None of them called at 1 million. All of them called at 9. You move once to a house you pay for outright. It is nicer than your apartment. It is not a mansion. You buy nothing else that year. Not one thing. Marcus stops calling first. Not out of anger. He just runs out of things to say that don't sound like asking. Level 7. $50 million. You are 52 years old. 51,400,000. You did the same thing again. Twice. In an industry you understood. At this level, you are not an investor. You are a category. There is a formal name for people with your balance sheet. Doors open that you never knew were doors. You are shown investments that are not offered publicly. Minimum entry, $5 million. Returns that are structurally unavailable to almost everyone alive. This is the part of wealth nobody explains honestly. It isn't that rich people are better at investing, they're offered better investments. Your money now compounds faster than it did at 10 million. Not because you're smarter, because the terms are different. 51 million makes about 2.6 million a year without you. That is more than you earned in your entire life before 40. You still get up at 6. You don't know why anymore. Your day is now mostly meetings about other people managing your money. You attend them because you feel you should. You contribute almost nothing. They're better at it than you. That is a very strange thing to learn about yourself at 52. Your father dies in March. You pay for everything without checking the total. 19 years earlier, $2,000 for his medical bill nearly emptied you. You think about that for most of the drive home. It is the only moment in this entire level that actually means anything. You give $11 million away that year, anonymously. Diane arranges it in a single afternoon. Your net worth barely moves. It regenerates in 5 months. That is the first time the scale genuinely frightens you. You gave away more than you earned in 30 years of work. You try to explain your job to a stranger at a wedding. You get 3 sentences in and realize you no longer have one. And the machine did not notice. Level 8, $100 million. $104 million. At this number, you stop being a person with money. You become an entity that money is administered around. There is a family office now, 6 full-time employees. None of them work for you personally. They work for the structure. You are the smallest box on that chart. Your name is on almost nothing anymore. Assets sit in trusts, holdings, and entities you did not name. This is not evasion. It is standard. Everyone at this level does it, which is itself the point most people never hear. You live in a home you did not choose alone. Security recommended it. Insurance required parts of it. 4 people know your home address who are not related to you. You have not answered your own front door in 3 years. You are 58 years old. You are healthier than most people your age. You have time and access, and your calendar is emptier than it was at 23. That is not a joke. It is a measurable fact. At 23, you had 11 people you spoke to every week. At 58, you have 3. 2 of them are paid to speak to you. Marcus is not one of them. You have not spoken in 6 years. Neither of you is angry. There is just nothing to say across this much distance. You think about calling him roughly once a month. You have not done it once. That is what $100 million actually costs. Not money. You have more of that than you can spend. It costs the ability to be in a room where nobody wants anything from you. You can buy almost anything from here. You cannot buy back the version of your life where you were ordinary. Level 9. $500 million. $512 million. You did not earn most of this. It accumulated. At this size, capital grows faster than any human can spend it. 500 million earns roughly 30 million a year. That is $82,000 every single day. Including today, you could not spend it if you tried. People do try. You are not one of them. You still buy your own coffee. Nobody in that queue has any idea. That is the last freedom you have. You are on 2 boards. You attend 4 meetings a year. Your presence is worth more than your opinion. You realize that in your 2nd year, and it has never stopped being true. People are careful around you now. All of them. Nobody disagrees with you in a room anymore. You cannot tell if you have become right or if they have stopped saying it. This is a documented psychological effect. It has a name. It happens to nearly everyone at this level. Knowing that does not prevent it. You have tested this. You give away $60 million over 4 years. Education mostly. Nothing named after you. Your net worth ends those 4 years higher than it started. You gave away 60 million and got richer. That is not a moral failure. It is arithmetic. But it does tell you something true about this system. Above a certain number, wealth is no longer something you have. It is something that has you. Your mother dies in the spring. You fly commercial to the funeral. You sit in the same church you sat in for your father. You are the wealthiest person in that building by a factor of 10,000. You start writing in a notebook again. The first time in 30 years. Not numbers this time. You already know all the numbers. You are trying to work out which level you were happiest at. And it changes absolutely nothing about the afternoon. Level 10. $1 billion. $1,040 million. There are roughly 3,000 people alive at this number. You are 67 years old. You did not plan this. Nobody plans this. $1 billion is not a goal anyone reaches by aiming at it. It is what happens when compounding runs unchecked for 40 years. You are not 1,000 times smarter than the man at 1 million. You are the same person. The number kept running after you stopped. You have 22 people working on your affairs. You know 4 of their names. You employ more people than the warehouse you started in. Your daily life at 1 billion is almost identical to your life at 50 million. Same house, same routine, same 3 phone calls a week. Everything above 50 million was invisible to your actual life. That is the single most useful thing in this entire video. Every level after level 7 changed your paperwork, not your day. You are asked to speak at a university in October. 300 students. Business school. They want the formula. You tell them the truth, which is not what they came for. You tell them the first 10,000 took 3 years, and the last 500 million took 11. You tell them the hardest level in your entire life was level 2, going from negative 5,000 to positive 1,000. Every level after that was easier than the one before it. Every single one. A student asks what he should do with $400. It is the best question anyone has asked you in 30 years. You tell him to open the account today, not the perfect account, today. You do not tell him it will make him a billionaire. It will not. You tell him it will make level 2 survivable. That is the whole gift. You fly home that night, commercial, aisle seat. Nobody on that plane knows. You are worth more than everyone else on board combined, several times over. And you order the same coffee you ordered at 23. That is your life at every level of wealth. 10 levels, 44 years. One person, and the only one that ever nearly stopped you was the second one.